Yeah, for Jack's
Oh, we're live.
Yep. Good evening and welcome to Let's Drone Out. This week, Jack won't be doing the introduction as he is currently presenting to those of you watching live the results of trying to do something that we haven't quite understood with his USB audio interface, which has resulted in it being a large number of pieces strewn across his floor. So
I was present
him.
at the time. I can tell you exactly what happened.
I'd love to hear it.
Which is, we were supposed to be doing some streaming last night as per normal, and Jack had this wishy sort of noise going on, which resulted in him picking up his USB thing, saying some choice words, and throwing it with force back where it went. So then he realised he was no longer able to contact me or speak to me, so we had to abort.
Then he realised that his real life save point wasn't working. Anyone seen the latest?
Control Z! Control Z!
Yeah, that was good. That was.
Oh well.
Oh dear. Sign language, Jack. This can be fun.
So we won't have Jack. He can't introduce himself. But this week we have NJ Tech.
Hey everyone, been a while.
We have Curry Kitten.
Hello.
We have Andy LC.
Good evening.
And I'm Frank. And we might have Tony at some point. He might.
Hello, this is my new voice.
This is going to be even worse.
To kick Jack.
He's got because he's dyslexic, so he's using like a voice to type with, but it's just not going to make it. Oh, it's actually making more sense than his actual what he says.
Oh, dear.
I did suggest to Jack, if he was going to do this, have some key phrases ready to cut and paste, because we can't be looking at you doing this.
You need to up the pitch a bit, Jack. It's a little bit, it's a little bit low down in the register.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Welcome to LDO.
Okay.
Oh,
Can you make him British now? And like,
Sorry, Frank.
Oh dear. Right. Right. In anticipation of there maybe still not being a huge amount of flying to be done at the moment, I was very interested to know everyone's different kind of methods or the order of operations of how they go around putting it together a video. I was going to throw Jack under the bus and say it's because
I'm
I've
the
seen
worst
Jack.
host. I'm the worst host.
He's the worst host.
Oh, wow.
To be fair though, Jack,
really annoying, isn't it?
you've got more technology than Stephen Hawking had, so you should be able to, string a few sentences together at least. A bit of content.
Why am I under the bus?
Why am I what? Under the what?
Bus.
Under the
I
bus.
was going to throw Jack under the bus and say
Frank.
he's been sitting on a load of video stuff and avoiding making videos because he can't seem to get stuff edited and doesn't want to and gets a bit of a tizzy. So I was gonna ask everyone else what their kind of order of operations were, whether because it was also seeing Jack with Lee doing their video together, the kind of post MA6 online catch up of their two talks, whether they sort of seeing how they kind of recorded live and then edited it, which is kind of how we do LDO. But for all your different videos, how you put things together in terms of, do you put a script together first, or do you start filming and work out a script afterwards? Do you do a VO and then fill stuff in an edit and film stuff to go with a voiceover, or what order do you do things in is what I'm interested in. Jack's waiting for
Jack was pointing, so we'll give him 30 seconds to type what it was that he wanted to say.
Yeah, I hate Adobe Premiere. That is not fair. And I like to edit and hang out with NRC.
Is it just me, or is Jack's robot voice a little bit depressed and a little bit calm?
It's more Marvin the Paranoid Android than Stephen Hawking, isn't it?
Yeah, when he
That
says
sort of
the
same
word,
level of I want to die from it.
when he says Frank, he sounds.
NRC.
Say Frank.
If we need robotic in camp, we should see if we can find him
Frank.
a C3PO voice translator. That would do it.
Yeah, Frank. It's definitely.
Jack, can you say brain the size of a planet?
C3PO was by.
C3PO.
C3PO.
Oh dear.
Yeah, you might need to put a full stop after things like that, or gap them perhaps. It's a learning thing. We're all learning about how to use.
Brain the size of
voice.
planet.
Close enough. Hey.
Okay, who's gonna kick off then? Curry, what's your?
NJ is sexy.
Oh Lord.
NJ
Someone's going to
is
get muted.
sexy.
So, general product review is I generally film it, me unboxing it. I use my little Canon, what is it? EOS, I forgot what it is now. I've told you. Oh, M3, isn't it? Because it's got a mic input and I can flip the top up. So I can plug a mic in, I shove that over the top of my monitor, and I can basically do a little spiel about, here I am, I'm unboxing it, I'm showing you what's in the box. I don't script things, but I have a sort of, I suppose I have a formula, if you like. So I will go through and I will unpack it and I will sort of look at it sort of live as it was, my sort of first unboxing. And if it's like a quad, we'll then go through some beta flight just to see how it was set up. At that point, my most important thing to do is to take a photo of it, because if I go and fly it, then I'm likely to crash it and explode it, and then the photo is going to be bits of quad. So I go and I take a couple of shots just for a thumbnail, just so I've got room to stuffing, and then it's mostly about I want to get like a bunch of flights in if I can. At that point, I might take my GoPro. I'll take my GoPro Hero 4 on this little thing just so I can hold it. And from Andy RC, his super tip for using GoPros was this little sort of foam condom you stick over the top, and it really does cut down.
They're called.
I
found out.
Windslayer.
Windslayer, because I know that because I've just bought one for the Hero 8 and 7.
Oh, that for the 8. I'm going to go with foam condom. I think I like that better.
Yeah,
that really cuts down the noise. So if you're out in a field, GoPros are terrible if you haven't got anything covering them for making a noise. I used to use an external microphone, but the external microphone is particularly bad near a radio and picks up interference. And so I might do some exterior bits to myself. And then I use this because it's part of the freeway. I can just unscrew that. I've got a little tripod, so I can shove that down and I can film myself flying around and stuff. And then all I'm trying to do is I take out like 4 batteries or 8 batteries, and I'll do this over a couple of days maybe, is fly around and try and... My first couple of batteries are trying to get sort of actual... Make sure I can fly up and down. Don't do anything too dangerous where I might smash it up and ruin the day. And as soon as I've got things like, I've flown past and I've done sort of general flips and I could fly it around, then I'm a bit more confident about, let's do some more exciting things. Let's go through the trees. Let's do flips and loops and all sorts. And I'm trying to just get as much footage as I can. And for me personally, I then shove all that on the editor. And what I'm trying to think about is like, what happened during a flight? What did I like about it? What didn't I like about it? Was there anything niggly when I was setting it up that I didn't like? And I'm trying to, I don't script it, but I might make a couple of bullet points about what I need to remember to say about certain things. And then I'm just trying to grab bits of the flight, which I think this is interesting. And normally I've got, 30, 40 minutes of flight footage. So it's not hard sort of grabbing things from it. Any exciting or interesting crashes, anything that went wrong, I like to try and talk about and why it happened. And I'm just trying to then talk about the sort of flying I was doing and pretty much how I felt about it, as opposed to like the sort of technical stuff about it. I often like to focus about stuff that's personal to me. Like, I like this quad because it ticks my particular boxes. Might not tick other people's boxes, but I like it. And I just do my voiceover stuff, yabber on about that for sort of 3 or 4 minutes, and then I might do some sort of closing thing where I'm just sort of sat here and like waving it about, saying, "Here it is again. I'm doing this." That is my general. That is the Curry Kitten trademark formula for reviews, which it may not be very exciting, but it works for me. It feels quite organic because when I'm getting something new, that's the sort of stuff I'm doing anyway. I'm looking at it. I'm like, "Oh, this is interesting." I'm putting on Betaflight. I'm seeing what's going on, and then I'm taking it out and flying it and seeing what I can do basically with it.
Has your process had to change having a house full of people? Because that's something that I had to change when the people who I live with are constantly in the house now, and have been for 2 years. Has that changed anything?
They're a little bit kind of in the way. So it's like I reviewed the green Hornet, which I may have taken and flown it through the house and gone out again. But the fact that the family was there means I didn't have any credible excuse for why I smashed something up, for example, if it went wrong. But, you know, it came in handy. I got Sophie to hold my phone so I could fly the little UZ65 around and she could follow it for me, and got some extra footage that way. It's just a bit weird having people there, because where I can, if I'm flying in the house with like whoops and stuff, I can always sort it out, so I can like turn lights on, I can open doors as I want them to. And now I'm flying around and there's people wandering through and stuff like that.
Shutting all the doors, turning all the lights off. Why are all the lights on?
What are you doing? Or they're in the kitchen making a mess.
Well, I think me and MJ have probably got a different answer to that, because I mostly make my videos the flying is obviously done in the day, but all the talky bit is usually done anywhere between 1 and 6 in the morning, because that's where everybody's asleep and there's nobody giving their front lawn or back lawn a Brazilian 3 times a day because we're in quarantine and there's nothing else to do. There's nobody moving their bins around, which basically just like 24 bass drums in the street that just get moved around. So that for me the talky bit happens late at night, not just for the people I live with either. That it didn't used to be. Yes, Tony, please do. Tony just released a video. Actually, we could ask him about. He's been doing some flying, hasn't he? But when I had the house to myself, and it was summertime, it was you could do the talky bit at whatever time you wanted to, and then go out and fly. But now I usually do the flying part first. In the winter, you kind of have to do that anyways, because you've only got about 3 hours of useful light, and that's where if you've got the weather as well. But there's another part to the title of this video, and it says "and influence people," and that part for me has got to be about making videos that you want to make, that you're into. Because I've definitely like in the past, when starting up, when somebody says, "Oh, we'll send you this free shit toy," and you're like, "All right, awesome," and you get it and you're like, why did I say yes to this kind of thing? And then but you kind of have to take on those sort of things if you want to sort of build viewership, if looking at different tech and new tech is your thing. But for me now, I have to really enjoy the thing that I'm doing. And I think as long as you enjoy the thing that you're doing, then you'll gain a following and influence people at the same time. I get asked questions all the time, "Andy, how do you get free stuff?" The answer is, The answer is you don't get free stuff. You think working 15, 16 hours on a video when you receive a quad, does that mean you got it for free? Because if I charge, I don't know, minimum wage, 14 quid an hour, that's not exactly free, is it? You know, you take the price.
I'm not convinced you're in touch with what minimum wage is, but it's certainly not for free. I think my sort of average.
It's about 8 quid, isn't it?
Is it? I thought, I go off. I think it's dollars in America.
Spot the investment banker. I don't know how much is a pint of milk, 50 quid, something like that.
I don't watch many British stuff. I think is it $14 in America? I'm sure I've heard 14 as a. I think it might be $14.
Well, at the minute, that's about 50 quid if you take the current state of our currency into account.
Yeah, I don't particularly like the tag like influencer because it's like. I'm not really got an agenda there. Obviously, you know, there is affiliate sales, and that's pretty much how we make any money at all, or barely scrape a living. But it's not like, you know, oh, this is the best thing ever. This is the best thing ever. Because if you keep just doing that, it's just crap. So, but I think there's ways around that. If you get something in that's a bit of a duff, and you know, if you guys are anything like me, if someone suggests this thing and it looks crap, you'll just say, no, because that's going to be rubbish. You want stuff that looks good. And if it turns out to be really bad, then at the end of it, I'll be saying, this is bad. If you're in the market for this sort of thing, hold up other product which is better. And it's like, buy this instead. And that way it's still like there's a positive marketing at the end of it.
Like the UZ65.
I love the UZ65. It is now my favourite Whoop. I think it's better than the Modular 6.
Go watch my video then, see what you think.
Well, I've made my video now, which comes out tomorrow.
Okay, go watch mine.
I'll watch yours after mine releases, and then I'll be like, what did I miss? But that's the thing, isn't it? It's all subjective, personal opinion. And I said this absolutely ticks my boxes. This is the kind of flying that I like to fly with, and I said like many people will disagree. Just preempting the people that's
not true. I think what happened with mine was that we've had some really nice weather, so I decided to fly it outside. And you know, like a lot of the tiny Whoops, especially the 65mm size, they're not really outdoor flyers, but the Modular 6 just absolutely kills it indoors and outdoors. And for me, that was why it was also the camera. And we won't go into it. Let's not go into it.
Have you two got different KV versions? Just to
we had different KV versions. The Modular. You've got the 25,000 kV. I got the 19,000 kV. So for me, they are quite similar.
How are you?
Oh my god.
What the hell was that?
He said, Tony, how are you?
That's Jack stroke Ned from South Park.
Oh my god. I know he smashed his
My
USB.
new voice.
My new voice. I'm having to translate.
I quite like it.
Tony's also a good example. If you are going to film yourself, don't forget lighting.
Do I not
A couple of LED lights are quite handy, just for
Unless
putting
you're
your face in.
milk.
I had an angry Tony
better?
moment.
That's better.
I couldn't be bothered to lean over there. Jack, I like your new voice.
And I did a smash.
Can it go faster? So you're going to get a girl round and play, you know, not talk and just get
Like
on my
Tony
bed.
did to his GF.
Like Tony did to his BF.
I think it was GF.
Oh, GF.
Smash.
Smash.
It's all in the timing.
Is that why you were late, Tony?
No, I was out on a mountain bike ride and come
Real
home and
hard.
had to water my tomato plants, and I was just really, really late. I did tell the guys I was going to be late. Things got up me. I had a long day at work and stuff, so yeah.
So come on, NJ. What about you then? We've all sort of.
To be honest with you, I think mine's probably fairly similar to. I think we've all got something in common in some of our processes. I'm the same. I don't script anything. But again, I have bullet points of things I want to talk about. I'll usually start off by going out and flying, and just like Curry, because I've learned the hard way, you make sure you take your pictures of how beautiful it looks before you start crashing.
Before it's under a tractor.
Well, do you know what? That's exactly the one. And I was, if it wasn't for beta FPV, for beta FPV actually saying, "Don't worry, we'll give you another one," I wouldn't have been able to do anything on that. But that was the turning point where it was like, right, 100% getting all the B-roll of that now. But interestingly, the one thing I have made a big switch, I've only ever used Premiere Pro, and the last video I did, I switched over to DaVinci Resolve, and I've got to say, I mean, I hate having to learn any, because I have to do it all the time in music where I'm working between either Logic Pro or Pro Tools or a lot of the big ones. It's a pain switching. And when you really know a particular editor, you don't really want to start from scratch with another one. I can tell you now, if you're on Premiere Pro and you go to DaVinci, it will take you like a couple of hours and you'll know your way around it. Not only that, I actually think it's better. There's so many great things about that, and it's free. I mean, I can't say enough good things about DaVinci Resolve. I'm still kind of scratching my brain as to how they've just given that away. That free version's got so much good stuff in it. So yeah, I'm going to be sticking with them for the foreseeable future. Really good video editor. Nice. But yeah, same order as pretty much the same order as you guys. Get the footage, get back, do the top down view of the quad, talk about it, reference notes I've got to make about it from flying it, and things I've inspected on it that I think need to change or whatever. Put that in the editor, and then what I will do actually is usually once I've done it, I'll give it a good. I try and leave it a day at least, so I can look back at my footage, and that's usually when I'll go, I forgot to say something, I forgot to talk about that, and I'll then drop in another. Just a little thing, because I hate that when I publish a video and then realised I've missed something that I really wanted to put in there. So
you do like your voiceover and stuff kind of as part of the editing process?
It depends on what's happening. Sometimes yes, but the majority of the time I'm talking into the mic whilst with the top-down camera, doing what I'm doing. If there's anything I need to say, then I'll drop in voice over the top. But yeah, it's just whatever's the fastest method for you, I guess, because we all don't want to be sat in front of an editor for any longer than we have to be. That's the only sort of soul-sucking part of it. I quite like editing the flying videos. They're good fun. I really enjoy.
They're the ones that take the longest.
I enjoy syncing the maneuvers to the music, and I really enjoy that. It's the review stuff I find can be a bit laborious, shall we say, at times.
Yeah, I've spent like 10 hours on a 3-minute freestyle video, just
10 hours.
Making it match the music and everything, making it do funny stuff and that, quite a lot of time.
It was quite interesting. I every time I do a sim release, I do a video, and for the network stuff, I had to get Jack and Frank to fly where I wanted them to so I could film them, and it was just like being out in the field. Jack's like, where are you? I'm up the hill. Which hill? By the tree. Which tree? I've crashed. Where are you? It's just went on and on like that. It's like, just fly in a line slowly that way and I'll follow behind. It's hilarity ensued.
It is quite funny that like we can turn up here every week and we'll record for an hour, and like at least half of it will be complete nonsense, but it goes out to the world.
Well, that is pretty much what most of my recording sessions filming myself are. There's a lot of absolute nonsense there. There is a huge amount of, if you look at my videos, you'll notice them go blip, 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 blip. This is not because I'm keeping it tight. It's because I'm getting rid of all this absolute screw-ups, or me just going, and like, what's that quad called again? And I don't know, or shouting at the dog to shut up because he's making a noise, that sort of stuff. Final Cut Pro for me, obviously, because I'm a Mac user. What I didn't know that I knew my editing software that well. I kind of, sometimes you don't think about it, but then you look down and it's like I'm just doing all these keystrokes and the mouse this end, and I'm just like
all about the shortcuts.
Just going places, I'm not even thinking about it.
shortcuts halved my editing time when I figured them out. I figured them out way too late as well. Yeah, the Q.
Not the one that with the one for me is the zooming the timeline. That is just we're constantly having to move the timeline in and out just to zoom in to splice, and that's the one that gets spammed the most.
Can you do something
if
for
you
that
go over to
199, Jack?
DaVinci? If you go over to DaVinci Resolve from Adobe, by the way, you can take the shortcuts with you. So it will say when you first load it up, it asks you if you've come over from Adobe.
Brilliant.
You can just start using it with all the Adobe shortcuts. So
yeah,
it's clever like that.
I might need to do that, seeing as this whole situation has left me potless. So any free stuff, I should.
Up.
What?
Jack
What's that word called? Let's play Dimension.
This now sounds like Hal when it's dying.
What's that COD calls? How's your minge? Is all
Jack,
right.
can you type Daisy Daisy?
Can you type "Falling with Style"? Thank you very much for your donation, or just shout out with
"What are you doing,
style.
Dave?"
Wasn't Hal Kevin Spacey? Wasn't he voiced by Kevin Spacey?
Thanks for your donation, anyway.
I'm sure it was.
He's been white.
Thanks to Falling with Style.
That's it. Can it go a little bit faster?
Donation.
It sounds like it's been hit over the head.
Donation.
That's what a senile AI sounds like.
Hello.
Massity.
What? Douglas
Massity.
Jack, surely your computer has like a built-in microphone if you're not using the audio interface. All computers have like a mic input at least.
Sounds like more of a potato than that, though.
And you have like 3 cameras. Surely one of them has a microphone on it.
He says he had a microphone on his inbuilt web camera, but it sounds awful. But it's got to be better than robot voice.
Yes, surely.
It's going so mad.
Oh dear.
Anyways, Tony, I saw. What did I see you chasing a wing this week online?
Yeah, I've been out flying this week pretty much every night.
Was that you and Sylvie? Was it you and Joker Vision? Was it?
Yeah, he's been out as well. So yeah, I was chasing his wing. That was my old wing that I got built by a guy years and years ago. Oh, sorry, I haven't muted anything. Yeah, so yeah, I've been mucking around in the evenings, flying after a Danny boy and his wing.
Say welcome to OpenTX.
There's a £5 donation from.
Only is gay.
Thanks.
We've done our disclaimer yet. I think the robot.
Can we do the disclaimer in the
robot? I love you, Tony.
No robot disclaimer, please.
Come on. Let's all vote.
Thanks for the 5, Joker Vision.
I need a cup and paste.
I need a cut and paste.
It's there.
There, it's in the chat. In the live comments.
Shall I tell you what I use for filming?
Go on then.
Go for it.
This.
Had that for a long time, haven't you?
Hero 5.
Legal notice. And views expressed by any guests on this show are personal and may not reflect the views of others.
This was like from a Vic 20, surely. This is really bad.
Can you put that at the start, please?
Pretty abrasive.
It's not exactly Alexa, is it? Quality.
No.
It's nice that.
Oh, we can hear.
He speaks.
Does that work?
Yeah,
that's all right.
You've known all along. Are you kidding?
Yeah, of course he has.
Okay.
He's been Tom
We've had 29 minutes of sensibleness.
Yeah.
Hi, Bruce.
I was just going to say, with Tony showing that mic there, I think if people are sort of starting out and wanting to sort of film themselves doing stuff, 2 things that sort you out from sort of being sort of crap to acceptable is sound. Just having a dedicated microphone makes such a difference. Whether you're just like some cheapy plug-in mic for your phone is fantastic on a voiceover, rather than just having a phone on its own mic. It's just so much better. And if you can get that lighting, just lighting your face properly, then it will look an awful lot better. You don't need sort of fancy cameras and stuff. You can do it on a phone, but just that extra thing about getting your lighting right, getting a decent mic, will just lift your video up way much more than just your normal sort of gubbins.
Yeah, this is directional road mic with a dead cat.
You've got the same one as me, Tony.
Dead cat eye trimmed. Yeah, the thing is with this is when you press start on your GoPro, which I always forget to do, and you've got this bit that you have to buy from GoPro, which is an extra bloody £50 just for the it powers the mic. When you put it in the port and press go, it says mic okay, but it never is okay. You can stand there talking, playing back, and it just doesn't record. What I have to remember is take that out and then put it back in, and then it works. Do you have that problem at all?
No, because I'm using it with this camera, which is a lot easier.
With a GoPro, that's what you must take it out and plug it back in. Otherwise, it just doesn't record your audio. But when it works, it's really good because you can have super view and all that lot.
That's the mic I do use for my GoPro 4, but that's just a very simple. There's an adapter actually for this. There's a special. I didn't pay £50 because on a GoPro 4, I can get this third-party adapter, and this whole setup's about £20, and that's directional as well. But as I said, it can pick up interference from the radio if you're doing that. But if you're just filming yourself and stuff, it's really nice.
And if you've got the GoPro with the screens, so like the Silver, Hero 4 Silver, it picks up interference off the screen and also the Wi-Fi as well. So you have to be really. I
haven't picked up this off the screen, Andy. To be honest, I've done quite a lot of filming on that one with the 4, which has got the screen for Silver.
Does your screen turn off after a certain amount of time? I've had that problem, and I was like, the Wi-Fi's off, and then I was like, oh, I kept the screen on fully because I needed to frame some stuff with it, and it ended up being the screen that was causing some problems. But
I've not seen that one. But...
I'm switching now because in my last video, I put the GoPro 8 on my head, and it was like I'd got a gimbal on my head. It was such a difference. The only thing I'm struggling with is the audio a little bit because the new Hero 8's got this wind cancelling thing, but it doesn't sound very natural. And it works, and like it still picks it up and does weird things with one of these sound condoms on. So I'm still trying to figure that out. But overall, the picture from that, the stability, with hyper smooth on your head, it looks like someone's got a pointing a gimbal at your quad and it's just on your head. That I'm going to start using. I think it's time to hang up the Hero 4. It's been going for a few years, and
I did use my GoPro 7 Black for a couple of things, and I looked at the picture quality from it. I was like, actually, that's nice, but yeah, I have to get myself a new wind condom.
It should be said that your head's quite a good gimbal on its own, so anything mounted to your head's going to have a little.
MJ, you would be surprised that it
depends on who you are.
I thought so. Yeah, it did. For me, I mean, somebody said. I think somebody said, "Have you had a cameraman?" I was like, "No, it's just that smooth. It really is like a gimbal, that the hyper smooth when it's on your head." Anyways, go and take a look. It was like my last the DJI speed video. I did a line of sight with the quad, and it was like, even when I saw it back, I was like, yeah, that's better.
that video is making me want to buy DJI stuff.
Yeah, it's making a lot of my. It's funny actually. When the DJI thing came out, I think I talked about it on this show. I took it to the indoor sports hall club that I'm a member of, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's a bit pixely. Oh, the lights." And now every single person in that video owns one. So I thought about doing a little funny clip where they're all slagging it off, and then like put at the end, every single person in this video went and bought one. Yeah. I think when people like are trying to like find issues with that system, they're trying to convince themselves reasons not to get it, not other people.
That.
Yeah, but
it's too dear. It's not that great.
Especially if you already spent that amount of money on analog gear, which a lot of us have, you know.
Yeah, of course. But
the thing is with the DJI system, it wasn't that great to start with. It was revolutionary, and everyone just, you know, was the wow factor was there, but it wasn't that great practically. Whereas now there's just been so much great stuff done with the firmware updates. It's a very different unit to when I first started using it as to what it is now. But yeah, I absolutely love it. It's definitely the way forward for me.
Yeah, and new hardware coming. In fact, I got to cover something up on this. Probably won't show up anyways. But this is the new nano camera. There's something here that I wish I could show you, but I can't. But
that's for the after show party, right?
No, I'm afraid not. NDA. But yeah, some exciting stuff coming for the DJI stuff, I have to say. You know,
see, I'm very much in the favour of like DJI looks amazing. I'd like to try that, but I'm just in the I can't possibly afford it, so I'm just going to be glum. But some people will then convince themselves actually it's rubbish because I can't afford to buy it. It reminds me a little bit of the old. Just age myself here. The Spectrum versus Commodore 64, or the Atari ST versus the Amiga, where somebody buys one, they'll put all their eggs in that basket, and they'll slag off the other, no matter what. Because the one I've got's better, and I don't like yours.
The thing with PS and Xbox, isn't it?
Oh, we could bring it up to date and say, PS4 versus Xbox One.
We
have to buy them all, just like in games.
Like a crowd. We like to be in a, conservative or Labour. We like to stick to
Nintendo or.
There's actually an psychological phenomenon because they've done that with people with memory loss, so where they've only got short-term memory, and they like give them a painting, but hide it until they've forgotten about it, and then give them the option of 2 paintings, and they'll always go for the one that they've been told was theirs. So there's like the circuit in the brain of like things that you own is better.
Yeah. But what if you own both of them and don't have a preference for either? That's my
perspective. Out, I guess.
Yeah, that's my perspective on this whole thing. That's what makes me sad. It's like people are fighting over it, and it's just whatever you like to use, then just use. That's the way I think.
I like this in the chat. We got Sega or Amiga. It would actually have to be Amiga for me. That was such a big part of my Amiga 500.
Really?
Yeah, I had all the Sega consoles, and I've still got 2 of them. I got the Mega Drive, the Mega CD, and the Master System. 2 of those are still in the loft, but I've got to say, it was just the Amiga was. It was so awesome. I had just a box full of games on the Amiga. I love that thing.
Well, I had the choice between the Commodore 64 or the Mega Drive. So the Mega Drive was like a supercomputer.
Oh, the holy grail compared to the.
What's Jack got? Amiga 500.
Where did you get that, you bastard? You know I've been after those. Son of a bitch.
You losers! What are you after old shit for? Will you be buying VHSs next? Jesus.
I've still got 2 boxes of Amiga floppies in my loft, just in case I could get an Amiga back. There was actually a bunch of programs I wrote that I can't remember how to do this particular sine cosine function where these sprites are going around in such a lovely pattern, and I need to get it back off that disk to find out what I did.
Yeah,
it
floppy is the word that
X-Copy?
comes to mind when you talk about that sort of
If
stuff.
you had an Amiga, you'll remember X copy. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh,
That
good
was
old X-Copy.
that was how everything got shared around school. Dear oh dear.
Tony King, feel free to send me one of those because I still need them, and I haven't got them. That's sad times. I don't believe I got rid of my Amiga. I don't get rid of anything. If you could see what's in the shelving here and above, it's just littered with consoles and games and stuff. But for some reason, my Amiga's not here.
My Amiga battery leaked so bad it totally killed it.
Oh, I had the Spectrum 128 with a disk drive. Yeah. No,
I've got
Did they bring a
plug
disk
it
drive
in.
out for that?
Does that
Yeah.
count?
I thought it was a cassette only. Did they brought a disc drive
No,
out for
it
it?
was a disk drive one I had.
Ah, wow, posh.
Yeah,
yeah.
well, I think my dad had a good year that year, cabin. Yeah, they were the days.
That's a gigolo, don't lie.
Shh. That's good. It was good. We had good fun on them games. And then PS1, and then I've had all the PSs, and I'll probably get a PS5 when it comes out, and I think it's coming out this year, isn't it?
Well, we got to just to see what Unreal 5 is all about.
Yeah.
Just the engine. We just want to see the pretty graphics.
I know. It's looking good.
Have you got a RTX card, NJ? Are you part of the future?
I've got 1080 Ti. I haven't gone to RTX. I'm skipping that. I'm going to go to the next release. I'm not going to. RTX just wasn't as big a jump for me to make it worth the price tag. And RTX, when that card dropped, RTX was awful and just super. I mean, it still is power hungry, but it was just not very good. And now it's better. It's still power hungry. It's not worth it. So yeah, I'm going to wait for the next series. I'll stay on my 1080 Ti, which is still beautiful.
Is RTX still NVIDIA or is it different?
Yes. Yeah. AMD have got their own version, which I can't remember the name of, but they're all working on their own version of this type of lighting, because I mean, there's a beta version. I really have to correct myself for this.
I have to think.
Yeah, there's a version of Minecraft. If you own Minecraft on the Microsoft Store, you can get the beta version, which lets you turn RTX on, and even the 2080 Ti's with RTX are crying running that thing. That's how, as in sub 100 frames per second. It's like 70 or something, I think, to render it 4K. It's crazy hungry, but it'll get better.
Jack, can you
said
there's so
100
much
frames a
reminiscing
second
going
like
on.
that's a bad thing? Like, it's like
I've been
I
playing
don't
PC
get
for a long
more
time.
than like 20 frames a second on anything.
What were you saying, Phone?
I shudder at 60. God, 20. That's like a flick book.
Exactly. That's all I get.
I could animate it faster than you're seeing that.
See, over here, I tick the box that says VSync because what I can't be dealing with is like varying frame rate. Just lock it down to 60 frames a second. I'm happy.
You're right. VSync is fantastic. The problem is the input latency. So all the competitive gamers won't turn it on. They'll just run it at whatever the graphics card will churn out, which is maybe 200, 250 frames per second or something. Just bonkers. But yeah, VSyncs. I like VSync for the prettier games.
You're going to stay there, are you?
Well, that's quite a digression, isn't it?
Yeah, that was an unusual direction.
What we should talk about is NJ recently had a change in direction on his channel. If we are talking about channels, so
something about flashlights, was it, or something else? Did I get confused?
I knew that would come up. Come on, NJ. What's the?
Even that title bothered me because I thought they're torches, right? We're British. We call them torches. And I thought, hang on a second. I know statistically, like 55% of my subscriber base are American. So I thought, I won't put torch. I'll put flashlight, which just meant there was at least 6 flashlight comments in the...
Whoever those 6 people were, I'm proud of you. And if you'd like to subscribe to a channel where it may or may not contain a flashlight, YouTube.com/Brighton to Life Lie.
Yes, not a new direction, but under the tech bubble of NJ hasn't been sent anything to review for a while. I found that my extensive collection of newfangled flash lights, that's the new way I'm saying it now. Yes, I thought, I'll talk about those because it's something to do.
I have to say, I've been around NJ when he got his torch out, and it was pretty impressive.
You're not helping. You're not helping, Andy.
That was a genuine thing, and it still sounded wrong.
You see, the thing is, every time I step foot back in this little arena, even in the situation where Jack is muted, essentially, the essence of Jack is still here doing its work. You don't understand what he's all done.
The Lord's work.
Right?
You're all disciples, and you don't even know it.
My car got stuck, right? Me and NJ are in the car. My car got stuck. He got out, got his torch out, and we escaped, and we were fine. There you go. That's almost normal, isn't it? And it was very handy, wasn't it?
Exactly.
The brightness, not the girth or the length, the brightness.
Output.
If I die, I expect you all to carry on as normal.
I'm going to carry on in that voice that you've got.
We can just replace you with an AI with that voice.
Yeah.
I should be able to code it up in a couple of hours.
There's probably enough stuff that I've said over my old podcast and this podcast.
We'll just pay like a transcription service to transcribe everything that you've said on LDO, and then we'll feed that into a generative adversarial network, and then we'll just have a
button that presses. Yeah. Like Jack's thing that he's got where it does a whatever.
AI Jack.
Yeah. We did have a couple of sensible episodes when Painless did the Back to the Future thing, and then Jack came back and everyone was like, what the hell is this show?
I know.
That's the thing I love about Lee. He'll come in and he'll just rule with an iron fist and march on with the timings, and it's
the best thing is like he whilst I was doing that bonus little thing with him, he basically
it's on his full channel, I watched
it. He had a ring at the doorbell and he ran off and he was wearing shorts and didn't have any shoes, and I was like making commentary and like saying stuff about him. So I know that he had at one point he was like editing that and being like, that little shit back.
That got cut out, did it?
Yeah, to do lots of edits. There were lots of beeps when Jack spoke.
What was did he beep out my swearing and stuff?
He beeped out your swearing. Have you not watched it back?
No, I haven't. Did I swear that much?
I didn't notice that either.
There was no swearing, and all the comments were very nice. They said it. One said it's nice to see Jack acting normal for once. To be fair,
saying something informative. I know.
I did type that comment, but still, it counts.
Mate,
it's funny seeing Jack trying to talk seriously and just being very nervous. It reminded me of being back at school when there's people had to go at the front of the class and give a little talk.
I don't think he looked nervous. I think he looked all right.
How many times?
When he said that was just me masturbating under the table.
When he says that acting normal, does he acting normal by whose standards? Because I bet our standards of his normal are different to other people's. Do you know what? Despite us going off on a tangent, I don't know if you've seen in the chat, but there is lots and lots of talk about we've got Golden Axe, Gauntlet, we've got Wolfenstein. We get some classic names coming up.
Oh man, the Blues Brothers game where they threw records. Oh, so good. And
someone said a Michael Jackson game. I remember
what was it? Death Ball. You know
Moonwalker, that's it.
Death Ball, was that it? Or you're in an arena and you pass the metal ball around.
Speedball.
Speedball, that's it. Yeah, like heroin and coke at the same time.
What's that dragon? What's it? Double Dragon. That
Oh,
was
Double
Oh my
Dragon.
God.
Double
That was
Dragon. You
great.
could just do the whole thing with the
Just
elbow.
elbow
all the way through.
Except for the end, where you had to fight your
Tony's
mate.
elbowed me a couple of times.
One of you had to get the girl at the end, so you had to fight your mate if you were playing with your friend the whole way through.
This
Hang
is
on,
true.
I'll
You had to
complete
kill
it.
one of the others.
Yeah, one of you had to go.
That's it.
Mm.
In the days, £1 in an arcade, it would last all day.
Well, that's the thing. Double Dragon I timed it 20 minutes to go. So you think you're being like, oh, look at me, I'm so cool with my elbow. I've just like, it's only 20 minutes game.
Just trying to kind of
Bring it
rest the
back.
topic of conversation to something where I can have any input at all. The
Final
Sorry,
Fight.
Frank.
That was the one I loved back in the arcade.
Oh
Sorry,
yeah,
Frank.
Final Fight. That was good. Sorry, Frank.
Frank, I haven't got.
Your fault, you're young.
Sorry, you're
God
completely in
damn
my
that Exennial,
my
Frank.
comfort zone now. I'm in old game
Yeah.
territory. It's like,
Bloody Zoomer over there.
Sweet
I
bliss.
don't know what a video game is. What? You used to pay money to play them.
So, I mean, the original thing I wanted to get people talking about the kind of process for getting a video out, because, I mean, I'm just as guilty as Jack, really, as
Bad
having
Frank.
ideas
so what
and never getting
stopping you
videos out.
from getting videos out, Frank? Because you
Yeah.
have lots of ideas and you do lots of interesting buildy things.
And I do lots of filming as
you
well.
just
Like,
I'm
I've
just
got,
going to do a live stream for 4 hours.
yeah, well, that was kind of the thing. Was I mean, me and Jack
Piece of
have made planned to make multiple videos, and we've met up and we've done the things and we've filmed it and we've had multiple cameras and multiple microphones and recordings, and we've made sure it's all on a memory stick, and then not done anything with it.
Terrible,
Partly-
you two.
I know.
So what is stopping you? Is there some intimidation of the editing phase because you've got all this stuff and no clear idea about how to put it all together?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, even like other videos that I've put together or filmed myself, and I've, spent ages just going through the footage and noting down which timestamps and which files and things need to actually go in and where the interesting things are and all that kind of thing. And then actually sit down and start editing and lose interest at that point.
If like the editing part is the bit that you don't enjoy, then you've both got full-time jobs. Just do the thing because it's fun and don't put it on YouTube. For me,
Exactly. That's all I do, really. But
me,
there's some
it was a-
things where it's like, this would be nice to make a video of, especially when we've spent the time filming it.
For me, like when I started my channel, I was so motivated. I was working full time and I was doing voiceovers for videos in my car on my lunchtime at work.
Wow.
And then I'd come home, film the video, edit it, and it was up. I probably made more videos back then than I did now. I was just mad on. I just love the entire process. So if you don't love the entire process, then but you like part of the process, it doesn't mean that you have to make a video out of it. If you like Jack, he made his Mavic.
It felt really, really shit when bloody was it RC Robotics was like, oh, I never knew Jack made that. I really want to watch the video, and there is no video.
Well,
You
the
idiot.
thing is, you have to have that.
Just don't have that drive.
Even if you don't have it, if you haven't got the drive, then it just doesn't happen. And if you've got the drive, I'm the same now. I've been doing this for years, and just recently, I think with all this lockdown stuff, man, I went to like a really dark place, and then when the flying field opened and I could fly again, it was like I could breathe again, man, and like just. Videos hitting almost every single day, and it was like going back straight to the start, so you have
there is another point to that, isn't there, which is sometimes if you queue stuff up and like you've gotten all this stuff and it's going to be absolutely epic, then it can be too much. It's like I want to mountain climb, let's hit Everest. You don't do that on your first time. So sometimes if you're not like making videos every day, then it's easier to go, let's go simple. Let's do some easy bits together to make a video. And all the time you're doing these nice, easy videos, you're getting very familiar with the software. You're starting to get into a process. It starts to become second nature, and you sort of ramp up to where you're like, oh, let's get multiple angles, multiple mics, and mix them all together and cut it all to music. That's like a couple of steps along sometimes. So sometimes it's a case of like, we've got this epic stuff, but it's like it's too much because we're starting from dot and we can't just go straight to that. We have to have some little things on the way to get us there.
I do like I've done a lot of video editing over the years.
All right, no excuses then. Get on with it, lazy.
I know. Like before FPV did like still a load of RC stuff, and even like in school did like video editing courses and clubs and things. And
I really do forget how young you are. School with video editing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we still like at school. It was still at the point of having like DV tapes. It wasn't like SD cards at that point, but still there was that.
We had BBC micros at my school, and that was luxury. We came on from a Commodore PET.
This was my problem, was that I originally learned how to edit on Final Cut Pro 5, which was the original one with like the horse and everything, and that's what I kind of like learned how to do. And then I started using iMovie, and then how long did me and you spend editing the Mini Air Show 5 video, Andy RC?
A couple of days, was it?
Yeah, a couple of days. Would you like to know how many views that got?
How many views? 207.
207.
Yeah. Well, it took me, if you're thinking about this was the thing, right, as well. Like, people think, oh, I need to get views, I need to get subscribers. If you are in that mindset, you will fail straight away, because that was never like YouTube for me. My computer was so crap. When I got into FPV, I'd do a flight video, and I had that little space on my computer. YouTube was the only place I could keep it, right? So I was uploading just flight videos just so I could watch them back. No music, no editing, whatever. And like, somehow people would find them, like the odd person. That my videos are strictly a personal diary of the stuff I've done. Not a great way to build it. No, it is. That's what I'm saying. Like, my channel was a way to store videos that I didn't have enough room on my computer. And then people would say, and of course I'd sit there modifying it and things like that. And people would say, how did you do that and stuff? And it was like, well, it'd be quicker to make a video on it. Like, so just point my phone and show it. And then that got, it took me 2 years to get 500 subscribers, man. And like, I didn't know that at the time, because I wasn't counting, and I wasn't counting views. You couldn't monetize videos back then. But I was spending hours and hours, 4 hours, all of my spare time outside of work doing this stuff, because I found it interesting and enjoyed it. And if you don't do it for that purpose, then don't do it, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with Andy, and that's the reason I highlighted Eric's comment there. Is you're pretty much doing it just for yourself, because it's fun to do. And if people don't watch it, then they don't watch it. If they do watch it, bonus. But I think if you took away, I've said this before, and I think we've all said this before, if you take away the monetization or the affiliation stuff, then I think I'd still be putting out the same videos, because it's kind of like fun to do. It wouldn't be so much product stuff, because people wouldn't be sending me stuff, but I'd still be making videos because it's quite fun. I
enjoy it. I love going out flying.
Creative, isn't it?
Go out flying, do a day's FPV run somewhere, even at the local field at the moment, but we should all be allowed out soon.
I don't know. I just feel like, no one cares. Like the sort of.
Yeah, no one does care. So why?
Well, yeah, that's the problem.
So I'm just like,
the amount of effort you put in a video does not reflect its views. Sometimes we've all done this, and we had a formula for it. It'd be amazing. I've spent days, weeks, and months putting videos together, which have been like, whatever, it might as well throw it in the bin. And then I've just done like a 5-minute, just like, oh, I've just thought of this, I'll just do it quickly. And that goes crazy for some reason. It's like, why has that happened? So it's nothing to do with the amount of effort you put into it. It's just like what happens on the day.
It's nearly always the opposite, actually, I find. The ones I spend the most amount of time on are the ones with the least views.
It's sort of like
I've said it before. I've said it before, where like my one of my biggest, I mean, my tutorial stuff did really well, but still my best, the video that's done the best is a review of a soldering iron. I mean,
and mine's feeding.
That's really useful though.
Mine's feeding ducks, and the only reason that it's popular is because I was feeding geese and not ducks. So like, half a million people thought they wanted to tell me that they were Canadian geese and not ducks. So
there's a secret formula then.
It took like 15 minutes to make that video. Another example, last year, my friend Phil decided to put an FPV camera on one of those little bikes. It took me less than half an hour to edit the video together. 63,000 views in like the space of 2 weeks, where I spend sometimes 16 hours and get 2,000-3,000 views. You can't think about views, man. You got to be enjoying it. And I'll hold my hands up, right? And someone will have said, or like I'd have bought something, like I've bought a 1/8 scale, it's like huge RC motorbike, and at the time, because I had a go of one, I was like, this is amazing. And then it turned up, and I was just like, oh man, why did I do that? I'm not so much into it anymore. You know, you sort of, I think between the time something seems like a good idea at the time, and then when it arrives, you're like, I'm definitely guilty of that for sure. But you got to find things that you love.
Still my favorite video that I've ever made, and it makes me happy every time I watch it, is the LDO YouTube channel intro.
Yeah, I like that.
That is pretty good.
I enjoyed that video lots.
That wasn't
do another one.
It's false advertising though. You got NJ being there all sexy, and he's hardly ever here. He hates me.
Really?
I've really missed you, NJ.
Say it in your sexy robot voice, and you might come
no,
on.
I can link back to our previous conversation on games to say my most popular video was a Halo 2 ending, which I called the legendary ending, which has had 1.8 million views. Mostly people telling me that there isn't a specific legendary ending for Halo 2, and thus you are shit. Basically, millions of times.
That's how you do it then. Wind them up.
There's the genius. Yeah, it's essentially trolling.
But I always put a little mistake in my videos on purpose, and I thought it was the thing at first, because I saw Josh doing it, and I even admitted it. It was like, you want to get views? Just put a little mistake in there, because people will love to people love correcting you.
I can see a lot of sense in that. Yeah.
It's like I had that one that was today that somebody said, I think you'll find it's KHP, not KPH. I'm like, you know, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, the pedantry is just unbelievable. What I don't like, I don't mind it when people comment and they say, oh, by the way, you know, this is actually this, or it's interesting, but that you've got that wrong, but here's why. It's when people will see you've done this massive long technical review, and all they'll do is just say, you said this wrong, and there'll be nothing about the video, nothing to say the video is great, good information, or it will just say, oh, that you said that wrong, or you called it something when you should have called it this instead. And you think, have you literally just come on to specifically correct me on one time?
The answer is yes.
Yeah, this hobby needs a name, doesn't it? It is some kind. It's a form of pedantry.
I've got.
It's called sea lioning. That's its actual term.
Really?
Is it really?
That's its actual term. It's not trolling. It's sea lioning.
Started with a C, but
I like the people that comment as they go, which is weird because normally I watch the whole video and then I decide. But some people you see a comment, it's like, why didn't you talk about this? And then 2 seconds later, it's like, oh, okay, you did. I didn't watch that bit yet. And then they'll comment again at the end and saying, oh, yeah, I now watched this bit. That was interesting. It's like,
my favorite one. Sorry, go on, Jack.
Oh, it's a type of trolling or harassment that consists of pursuing people with persistent requests or evidence of repeated questions while maintaining the prevalence of civility and sincerity. It may take the form of insistent bad faith in variations or engaging in debate. So
why is
that
it called sea lining? How's that?
I don't know, but it's just like, you know, it's the thing about being genuine and like civil, and then just setting someone off, and then maintaining that sort of level of
the other one that I thought was actually
that's my sea lion impression.
It was more like fucking Scooby Doo.
That was pretty good, actually.
Go on,
I put a video up, and I used the word practice in it, and that was the best thing I could have done, because obviously there's a couple of ways to spell practice with different meanings. There's a practice as in a place, and then there's practices as in repetition to learn something. And I put something FPV practice, and I've never seen so many comments go up and then immediately get deleted after whoever's tried to correct me has looked it up and realized that all these years they've been getting the spelling of practice wrong.
Well, that's a good one. That
was great fun. I just saw the notification come up, and by the time I clicked on it to see their comment, it had gone already. And this happens like for a good few days of people.
Hey, I think there's
learning about their spelling.
I think there's something we should talk about though, because it's quite a big deal, and it's around sort of like Joe Rogan taking his podcast to Spotify. I mean, we've always talked about. There's no platform to compete with YouTube, but if Spotify are gonna come up with like a video platform for Joe Rogan, then surely they're not just going to use it for Joe. And the idea is that the platform we're on now, the censorship is crazy, that is getting demonetized like crazy. And what do you think? I think that could be. I mean, it's such a big pull, Rogan. Do you think Rogan disappearing from our platform affect it?
Well, if you thought the monetization of YouTube was bad, you ain't seen nothing yet when it comes to Spotify. I'll just say that as a musician, I know this.
Yeah.
Aren't there many musicians that just don't do Spotify because
they'll literally
the
just
price
say
per play is so ridiculously small? They're like, forget it's not worth it.
Fractions of a penny.
Yeah, but what if it changes though? I mean, I know Joe's got some pull. They gave him 100 million. A lot of artists said I would have to stream like 19 billion of my songs to get that same amount of money. So I think there was a lot of controversy around. But I kind of
a video platform then, or not, or is it just going to be the actual podcast of him speaking? Because I like watching it as well.
They're building a video platform specifically for Joe, but I can't imagine that they're just going to keep it for Joe. You know. You know, and that's going to have adverts in it as well. So who knows what that will mean for the creator if it's a sort of a video. And the thing about songs as well is they're quite short, aren't they? They're like 3 minutes, but our videos 20 minutes to an hour sometimes. Adverts in there, could that mean more? I don't know. So you think
we don't really make any money from streaming anyway. It's just
I'm talking about bigger YouTube. I'm talking about there being a shift.
I'm talking about you, Jack.
No, not me.
I just thought it'd be an interesting conversation. Do you think that there was going to be I mean, Jack thought it was going to be Twitch, right? But it's not taken off like this platform. But if someone as big as Rogan, you know, moves, that's a big thing. Maybe just for the podcast world, I don't know. But I mean, YouTube is used for a lot of podcasts, and you know, if enough people go, oh, I've got this Spotify thing now where all my favorite...
Ninja went to Mixer.
So, and was he bigger than Rogan? Was he?
Well, I don't know. I don't actually care about Ninja.
I just thought it was an interesting topic, seeing as we're talking about video creation, and this is the only platform. But it does seem like even us, we have to censor ourselves.
Views or air views or however you meant to pronounce it, aren't there?
I agree with Fraser. Yeah, it says the same will happen with Spotify. Advertisers will never accept user-generated content as premium. What I think will happen is like, I mean, YouTube used to be, before Google owned it, you could do anything on there. People are uploading TV shows. Google took over, and you started to feel the pinch, and now it's like, what can you put and what you can't? And I think Spotify are going to run it. What will probably happen is they'll just run into the same lawsuits that YouTube came across, and it'll get that same pinch, because essentially it's about being demonetized, about showing other people's copyright, playing a song, or talking about a certain thing that, it's
about at a point you get big enough and successful enough that you're now a target for
exactly.
You've got to actually behave. But we've got to call it there. If you want to hear our back catalogue of edited podcasts, you can go to Spotify and listen to Let's Go Now on Spotify.
Head of the game, Andy.
That's an option.
Can Curry say about Sophie finding out that and in disgust that that we are on Spotify?
Yes, when I said to her after Sophie basically insisted that we get family premium so she could listen to any music, which we for some reason gave in for, and I said, "Oh, maybe you can look us up. We'll be on there." And she's like, "No, Dad, they only have proper podcasts on Spotify." when she found out we were there, it's sort of like, "Oh, Spotify's nothing to me now. It's just dirt."
My dad's on there.
It's quite funny.
All right.
Just before you go, I'd just like to point out spelling, as we were. I have to thank Frank, who picked me up on the fact that I spelled FPV wrong on a recent video, which made it worse because it was a product from Beta FPV, which I'd spelt wrong in my description. So I had to quickly correct it before I showed it to them.
Oh, Lurgy sent a donation. Thank you. Thank you, Lurgy.
Thanks, Lurgy.
You up?
Thank you.
Oh, FVP or something.
Yeah, I think I did.
That's the only way I can think it could go wrong.
Yeah,
Fairly valuable.
The F
player.
right.
By Spider, by Gigawatts, by Robin,
Yep,
by
we done.
Gigawatts, by Lurgy, by Tailspin, Joker, Mikey, Fruity Cakes.
I know.
Gigawatts.
Or Gigawatts.
All in with Style was here, and Darnome, Robin
Darnome,
FPV,
thank you,
Clinton was
Spider.
here as well.
Where was he?
Clint,
Clinton.
Darman Barnes that was here,
David
Make Me
Barnes.
Lab,
Clive.
top guys. Lurg, of course, Shady, always a pleasure to see. Southwest Kitty, Patches, Zero, Clive,
Thanks
Top
everyone.
Man. And yeah, thank you guys. Thank you very much. Brucey Baby was here. Thank you. You've been listening to Let's Drone Out. You've been joined by everyone's favourite curry kitten.
Goodbye.
I will try to call you 10% less sexy on frequent shows the more you come on. NJ Tech.
See you when I believe it. Bye, everyone.
My little love Tone Star that's been stolen by his African queen.
Bonjour.
He's my wife, I'll have you know. Everyone's Andy RC.
You couldn't think of anything.
It just means anyone.
The word I was looking for was liability.
Useless. How am I a liability, man? I'm not a liability.
My favourite person to edit a video with, Andy RC.
Well, I just want to say, Jack, if you are going to dial down the sexiness with NJ for 10%, and I'm going to lift it up 10%. So
It's a deal.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
And everyone's favourite organiser of the mini air show, Andrew/Frank.
Night.
Thank you. Good night. And I've been Brian Fly. Bye.
Bye.